Hello, today I would like to cover the only build that I've been able to use to clear T1 Abyss successfully, and it is this Punisher. As a lot of you may know, there is a Punisher fit that is listed in the community fittings. So if you go to your fitting window and go to fits, there will be a community fit posted here automatically that says Abyssal Tier 1 Electrical. It's very similar to the one that I just showed you. In fact, this is the one that I based it on, but it has a few things that are different about it, and frankly, it doesn't work. I think this build was created before the changes that were made in late 2019, where they added a whole bunch of new, more difficult enemies. And so if you try to take this into the Abyss now, you are going to lose your ship very quickly. If not in the first run, in the first few runs. So this is the modification that I've made to it. I believe I have different... Yeah, I have different turrets. I have basically different everything. The basic layout is the same, though. So let me just show you. In JITA 4.4, this build currently goes for 18.5 mil. And it does require almost maximum alpha skills. I won't beat around the bush for that. It does take significantly more skills and ISK to run T1 than it does T0. But the good thing about this is we're in a frigate, so we earn quite a bit more ISK per hour than in our T0 coercer or whatever other destroyer fits. The issue is that even this fit, I've discovered, is not... it's not 100% safe. It gets destroyed to various types of wrecking shots. You know, every so often you will get hit by a wrecking shot and there's nothing you can do about it. You will lose your ship. But hopefully you can make enough ISK that that kind of, that kind of drawback is well worth it to you anyway. In this ship, I currently earn about 15 to 20 million ISK per hour. So you make back what you paid for in about an hour, and everything after that is pure profit. It's not the best ISK per hour if you ask veterans, but then again, I'm not a veteran, and most veterans opt to do other stuff. Anyway, let me show you the core tenets of this build. So the thing that we're going to do is we're going to take the classic or community fit, right? And let's just see what's wrong with this fit first. So we have our 4 turrets. The great thing about the Punisher, let's start with the Punisher. The great thing about the Punisher is that it has 4 turrets and it has 5 low slots. So it has the best distribution. I don't think there's any other frigate quite like it, at least in the T1 or Tier 1 frigates. So you have 4 turrets, which gives you the most amount of damage possible, and 5 low slots allows you to equip not only 2 armor repairers, but 2 or more heat sinks. So you get the best of both worlds in terms of damage output and defensive repairs, active repairs. So as you can see, I'm using the small focused beam laser 2, which is the Tech 2 variant of the one that they chose. So I'm still sticking in the same turret class, but I've upgraded to Tech 2. And that gets us, wait, let me see if I equip the Imperial Navy multi-frequency like they did, I get up to 172 DPS instead of I believe it was the 150 or so that the other one had. And that's because we're taking the heatsink 2s as well. So just about everything is Tech 2. We'll need the skills to be able to fit those, obviously. And that'll get us, I'd say 172 DPS is the minimum. Anything less, and I feel like you're wasting a little bit too much time, and it's not going to be worth the ISK per hour. Especially because at 172 DPS, there's an enemy in the Abyss that's really, really tanky, and it takes about 7 minutes to clear. So if you get really unlucky, and you have 3 of those in a row, that's 21 minutes. You'll run out of time, and unfortunately, you'll lose your ship that way. So I haven't been that unlucky so far. There have been rooms or, runs where I've run into 2 of them in a row, but not 3. So I'd say, this is about as low as you can go. So now that we've talked about the turrets and we've talked about 2 of the low slots, let's just cover the rest of the low slots. We have 2 small armor repairer 2s. Again, this is Tech 2 modules as far as we can take them. And these will just give us the highest amount of tankiness as possible. In the community fit, the last low slot uses a compact multi-spectrum energized membrane, which gives us a flat resistance to all of the damage types for armor, but it's only 13.5%. That actually makes it quite susceptible for a lot of the enemies in the Abyss, and you're going to be dying to a lot of enemies unnecessarily. So I've changed that out with a reactive armor hardener. And what that does is it makes it so that whenever we fight basically anything, the damage resistances can get boosted in the damage types that we need them in, for that room. And when we move to another room and the next enemy does a different damage type, it'll boost the resistances in that damage type. So this build becomes really flexible in terms of how tanky it is, and it becomes tanky to basically everything. It's very forgiving in that regard. I made sure that our build has enough room to fit the reactive armor hardener because it is a little bit harder to fit than other things. Let's see. Let's look at the fitting. Actually, it's not that hard. Wait. I forget why I thought this was hard to fit, but I guess 24 CPU it's a fair price to pay. But it's a really good module, and that's the key component to surviving in T1 Abyss as a Punisher with the more difficult enemies now. With the low slots, we're going with the classics. We're going with just an Afterburner. About 900 meters per second is good enough for our purposes. And for the last one, we're going with a small compact lead acid cap battery. I wanted to fit a Tech 2. I believe the Tech 2, though, if we try to go for that, yeah, it's just a little bit too expensive for our CPU and our power grid. So that's why we're just sticking with what we usually use, and that's the small compact lead acid cap battery. As you'll see, it's good enough. Once we go into the electrical filament, which is the only thing I recommend, running when using this frigate, we have negative 96.7%. Since it's less than 100%, we're actually stable once we get into the Abyss. And so that's great. We can have our turrets on at full capacity, and we have our armor repairers. We don't really have to worry about anything in terms of actual piloting except, the distance we are to our opponent. And that's really important. It helps us to focus in a lot more because a lot of the enemies in T1 are more, they're more complex than in T0. So some ships you need to be about 15 kilometers away. Some ships you need to be even closer than that. You need a more extensive knowledge in T1 than in T0 of each specific enemy. And that's not something that I can teach you very quickly in, a YouTube video or a Twitch stream or wherever you're watching this from. So we covered the turrets, we covered the low slots and the mid slots. Let's just cover the other ones as well. We have a thermal armor reinforcer rig. That's there just because of experience. I know that the hardest enemies in T1 Abyss deal thermal damage. That's the only reason why we're going straight for thermal armor reinforcer. We're not taking the Tech 2 rig just because it's really expensive. And I found that we're basically safe from anything except wrecking shots. And if it's a wrecking shot, we're going to die anyway, so there's no point in investing the extra money. I mentioned this one before, but the small processor overclocking unit, it's going to boost our CPU to an amount that an alpha player can handle. So I'm an alpha player, but I can fit this ship no problemo. It's just barely enough with about maximum skills. I think in terms of CPU and power grid output, I might have maximum skills for an alpha character. So yeah, this helps a lot. The one rig that we're going to go Tech 2 on is the small capacitor control circuit 2, and that's because of the capacitor recharge. By taking the Tech 2, we can have everything stable, and we don't have to worry about ever running out of energy for, you know, our runs, unless we run into something that has a I want to call it a mana drain, but it's not mana. A capacitor drain. Yeah. Right. So I feel like the Tech 2 is worth it. If you want to try it with the Tech 1, you can be my guest. I think, let's go to simulate. If you take the Tech 1, I believe it's going to go over. Yeah, so it's over negative 100%, so it won't be stable. You'll have to balance knowing what the enemies are and how far away to be against each enemy, and then you also have to keep track of how where your capacitor is and turning off modules sometimes. It's a lot of extra work. I don't want to deal with that, so I think the Tech 2 is worth it. That's why it's there. So that's the build. Here is all of the stuff. Just if you want to take another look of the summary. Again, we're taking Calm electrical filament. Calm is the tier 1, and electrical is the type that we're taking it into. Electrical provides double the amount of capacitor recharge, so we can go up to negative 100% and still be stable while we're running the Abyss. But it reduces our EM resistances across the board. So for shields, it doesn't really matter because it's already 0%. At least that's what I believe. I'm not sure if it goes negative, but for our armor, it's going to be reduced by 30%. Our structure is also going to be reduced by 30%. Let's see. What else did I not cover? Oh, yeah. We need faction ammo. So Imperial Navy infrared, Imperial Navy multi-frequency, and then here I have standard and gamma. So the reason why I have 4 different types is I just like the flexibility of being able to more or less shoot anywhere from the minus 50% reduced range all the way to, in this case, 20 kilometers. And I like the 20 kilometers point just because outside of that, we don't really do that much damage. So there's no point in, taking anything that has longer range than that. Hopefully, once you're watching this video, you'll know how to get inside a T1, or inside the Abyss, I should say. Oh, wow. Devoted Hunter, Devoted Torchbearer. That's pretty cool. The first thing I'm going to do is assess where all the loot is. There's a loot cache basically right next to me, so I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to activate these 2 modules right away. Oh yeah, it's not going to look like this when you first make it, but I like to set it up like that. All my active modules in one place. So these 2 I'm going to activate right away. And actually, since we're stable, we can activate the armor repair modules as well, and that's not really going to be a problem. Let's see. That one's not too far away, but it's a subnode. There are 3 different types of loot caches. There's the biocombinative cache. There's always one, and it's always next to the conduit, either the transfer conduit or the origin conduit. There are the regular nodes. Maybe this was a node. Yeah, this was a node, and then that there is a subnode. And so, oh shoot, I might actually die. I totally forgot I was supposed to be fighting these. 3 Devoted Hunters is one of the higher DPS rooms. We'll see if I do actually die because I was not paying attention. I don't think I've fought this room specifically before. 2 Torchbearers and a Devoted Hunter. No, I think we're fine. Yeah, the Reactive Armor Hardener really comes in clutch. 30% resistances in both thermal and EM, exactly where we need them. It does make them do very, very little damage. So we have 62 and 74% resistances. And the 2 armor repairers makes this quite manageable. So I got a little scared, but this build does pretty well. So we're just going to focus on these for now. And it's really your call whether you want to go for all the nodes or you just want to go for the biocombinative cache. The biocombinative cache definitely has the most loot. And the nodes and the subnodes, I haven't really been able to tell much of a difference. They both contain somewhere between, a negligible amount to about 600,000 ISK. So if you have the time and they're close by, I'd say go for them. Otherwise, the biocombinative cache, just go for the biocombinative cache, I guess. So that was a lot easier than I thought. This one should go down pretty soon, so I'm just going to head over to the biocombinative cache. How far is this? 37 kilometers. My max speed is less than a kilometer a second, so that's going to take me at least a minute to get to. I'm so sorry, I have like gas. All right, so now that's done, we can take down this biocombinative cache. Oh, Q, click. All right. Oh, wow. Got some good stuff. I'm not sure how much this Rodiva blueprint sells for, but you can sell it in contracts. It's pretty good money. So I just got a lucky drop there. That's pretty cool. So I have the tactical overlay activated. And what that allows me to do is I can click on stuff and there's this little gray line that points to things. So I like to click on all the caches and see where they are. This one's behind me, so I don't want to go there. Let's see. Yeah, the overlay, it tells you how far things are, but sometimes it doesn't tell you where. So I might have been able to get that node, but it's too far away from me now. I got to forget about it and go on to the next one. That FELT's Lancer is at 17 kilometers. I know my max... Oh, actually, I could have kept shooting, but I'm going to switch to my infrared. It's going to be a little bit less DPS, but hopefully the application is better, so I do more damage overall. We're going to... Oh, we can't target that one yet, but that's fine. And this just takes experience, but the FELT's Lancer, I don't think they heal. So whatever little amount of damage you can get on them, it's going to be helpful in your efficiency for these kind of rooms. So we're going to grab the subnode, and then we're going to keep attacking the FELT's Lancer. The Lucid Watchman is close enough, and so we're going to target that. From what I remember in my previous tests, if you don't have the reactive armor hardener, the Lucid Watchman becomes a rather difficult encounter. But with the reactive armor hardener, it's kind of a pushover. So I was surprised how well the reactive armor hardener worked. The Lucid Watchman and the FELT's Lancer kind of have they kind of have a similar AI from what I remember. They will like to orbit around you at about 10 to 12 kilometers. And so I feel like the best, what do you call this? Go for the gamma is what I'm trying to say. And approach them. That'll give you pretty good DPS, and it'll give them the least amount of chance to land a wrecking shot on you, which is the only thing that will, destroy this Punisher build. Oh, I didn't show you guys the skills. I basically have max everything related to this Punisher. There's the armor, which I have like this stuff. Corporation management, drones, those are irrelevant. I have, those are kind of irrelevant too. Okay. This is what my engineering page looks like. You got that full power grid management, CPU management, all that good stuff. The gunnery, all of this stuff is max alpha level. I have small energy turret 5 and small beam laser specialization, so I don't think alphas can have higher DPS, unfortunately. Surgical strike is maximum as well. Let's see, what else is relevant? I mean, here's my shield page, just for fun. Basically max as well. Navigation is also completely maxed out. Let's see. I mean, these are not too important. My rigging page, that's kind of important. My targeting page, there it is. And I think the only one that's left is this one. This one's pretty relevant. Have a Mar free at 4. I think that's it. Yeah. Ah, see, yeah, this is one of the ones that is pretty infamous. Charybdis Tyrannos. She hits pretty hard, and if you get hit by a wrecking shot from her, you're basically screwed. In any of the rooms that have a long range enemy like this, like a single long range enemy, I believe Charybdis Tyrannos falls under this category. Photic Abyssal Overmind, and then I think there's one more enemy type that's long range like this one. I'm going to skip all of the other nodes. Just ignore all of the nodes, subnodes. Go straight for the combinative cache if it's in the way like this. Just do a drive-by and pick up the loot. But for the most part, go straight towards the long range whatever ship. Just so you don't get hurt. Because the further away you are, the easier it is for these ships to hit you. And they do significant damage. The Charybdis Tyrannos, I believe, it's actually one of the easier ones to dodge because I think the turrets on this one is really big, so it starts missing a lot earlier than the other ones. But that also means that if it ever does a wrecking shot, it's kind of painful. So we're just biding our time, getting slowly closer to it. We're gonna spiral in. If you don't know how to do that, there's plenty of videos that can teach you how. Basically, we're just going in at like about a 15 to 30 degree angle, adjusting by double clicking in space occasionally until we get it close enough to where we want. It's definitely not going to be hitting us now, so we're just going to switch to multi-frequency. And we're close to the edge of the map, so this is something that we need to be careful of. Orbiting really far away can get you killed in scenarios like these. I do believe I'm outside the border. Nope, I'm just barely inside the border. But if I didn't manually pilot, I would be outside the border and I'd be taking damage right now. So this is not something that you can AFK in.
Docking request accepted.
So if you want to know the stats on how much I've tested this, I have tested this about 50 runs in the current iteration. I've tested so many more times on builds that don't actually work all that well, but this final build I've tested about 50 runs, and I have died 3 out of those 50. It doesn't sound like a very good track record, but all of those have been by unlucky wrecking shots. So I actually haven't died to pilot error or just the fact that this ship can't handle any runs. None of that is the case. This ship can handle all of the runs, and as long as you know exactly what you're doing, you will not die, except for when you take an unlucky wrecking shot from a powerful enemy. So, hope you learned something. Hope you liked the video, or the stream, or whatever. And let me know if you have any questions. And I will see you guys next time. I mean, that was the outro for the video, but I'm still here on Twitch.